All right, welcome everybody to yet another one of these live sessions. We're going to be covering what's happening in the market. We're going to be talking about some companies, what's happening with them, some companies that I'm invested in. We're going to be having a discussion in the chat as to what's happening in the stock market. There's going to be hopefully quite a lot of interesting stuff today because we are on day 2 of this maybe day 3, depending on how you take it, of this somewhat of a tech bounce. And it's interesting because we kind of covered the tech going down, and I was doing quite a lot of live videos during that period. But now that it's kind of bouncing back, it's interesting because it's doing exactly the same thing as a mirror image, as the market overall is not really moving at all. We're getting to this situation where, like, if you're invested in tech stocks and you've been suffering the pain, you've been seeing all the difficulty of seeing your stocks go down in price while everybody else is sitting there without having to do anything whatsoever and doing pretty well. You know, the market was growing, the market was getting, what is it, 1.5% a month while we're not doing anything whatsoever. But everything is looking really rosy in pre-market. So let me just go and open that up. I literally just walked in just before everything started. Ooh, the S&P 500 dropped at the end of yesterday. Let's see what happens with that. Anyway, let's jump right in. And on pre-market, we have 3 or 4 minutes before it really starts properly. A lot of stuff's looking green. Tesla's up another $17. Let me, 1 second. I'm going to mirror my screen so that I can look in a slightly better place. Bang, there we go. All right, so it looks like, if you can't see it over here, Tesla is up and up about $17. That's pretty good. And relatively small pre-market gains for all the big guys in my portfolio as well. So I'm quite hopeful for today. Nvidia up 0.9%, Apple is up 0.7%, and I was looking, CCIV is up another 50 cents. I expected them to go and push back down to about $20 territory when they were sitting at $22.50, but we're now seeing them go up towards the $26 mark, which is unfortunate because I kind of hoped that the price would stay low for a lot longer. I'm hoping that this ticker price is not going to send it too high because I want to be buying a lot more. Hi, what did I have for lunch? I didn't really have lunch. I had to go and replace the windscreen on my car because I met a rock on a motorway a few days back, and that rock decided that my windscreen looks better with lots of cracks going through it. It has been replaced. So we're all good. Hey, Tom. Tom is here for the 3rd one running, I think. Wow. Even FEV's up. This is interesting because we're going to be looking at the market when the market opens overall just to see what's happening. But it's an interesting site where it's the tech. It's the day when you're feeling good that you own tech rather than just the index, which on average is not that many days. On average, you're just sitting there watching your stuff fluctuate. Everybody else, like, yeah, I'm 0.5% up today. I didn't do anything. I just have my index. I'm happy. So who else is here? Tesla up near 3%. Yeah, pretty high. I just subscribed yesterday. Really enjoying this market open videos. Thank you very much. I used to do quite a few of these. And the problem with these is, like, when you're a small channel, it is incredibly difficult to get anybody watching these kind of videos, especially as other people do like similar kind of things. And unfortunately, these kind of videos, they have like no longevity. So when you make a regular video, you put it out there, and then 3 months later, you're still getting views week in, week out. These types of videos, they just die. And I have to even go and delete them after a little while because YouTube keeps trying to promote them. YouTube keeps trying to show them to people. The click-throughs are low. Even if people do click through, then they never actually bother watching the video because it's obviously from the wrong day. You can see it. You can see the date straight away, and you can tell that it's not relevant anymore. So I just decided let's try doing them for a little bit longer. I think some people find a bit of value from it. We're 1 minute away, so we're going to switch over in just a second. But just before we do, if anyone's based in the UK like me, if anyone's based in Australia, New Zealand, or Brazil as well, I'm using this new platform called Stake. I have a series of videos where I'm trying to beat the market by investing through Stake, and so far it's going ridiculously well, like by accident, doing way better than I expected. And if you use my link in the description below, you can get yourself a free share worth at least $11 something, which is I think the cheapest one that they do. So make sure if you want to check them out that you go and get your free share, and that's all you have to do is deposit £50 or £50 equivalent in whichever other currency. Anyway, we are go. I think we are go with the market. So let's go and see what's happening. Tesla is opening up as predicted, and jumping around early on. We're kind of seeing it drop down to $20 up, and dropping further from pre-market. Pre-market was looking good. Pre-market was like $17 up to $6.74. And we're sort of opening in that vicinity-ish at the moment in the market. Let's see what's happening with some of my favorite stocks on, opening a little bit up for Micron, opening up for NVIDIA, but these are big fat bars. So it'd be interesting to see what's going to happen in the next few minutes after this, because the indicators are not very cohesive for any particular movement. Let's see what's happening with AMD. Do I have two AMDs? I need to get rid of one of these. I need to sort my tech out. I'm going to improve, I promise. One day. Check Nikola, my favorite stock. Yeah, Nikola is the best stock. Don't listen to what I'm saying for the next 2 minutes, by the way, because it's completely the opposite. What is happening? I haven't looked. To be fair, I haven't been looking at Nikola for. I need to add them. Yeah. Nikola, for anyone who hasn't followed, is one of those EV stocks that does a lot of talking and very little doing. In fact, they do very little of anything of any worth whatsoever. That's my personal opinion, and it is no way substantiated by any kind of facts. Obviously, this is just my personal view, so make sure you form your own view. But this is a company that famously provided data that some people that aren't me would say was completely incorrect, wrong, and made lies, and made a lot of statements that later transpired to be completely untrue, and are basically trying to build a company. Tom was saying they're the best company ever. Yeah, unfortunately, Tom, you're in the comments and I'm here talking. So I would be doing exactly the same thing the other way. There's not much happening with them. But how are they climbing? I don't know if anyone understands what's happening here. Is there a latest line of? I've just turned them off from my brain. I've deleted them from my brain because if anyone, if anyone is wondering why I'm looking at this, do not take this as any kind of advice or recommendation. But do not invest in this thing. That's my personal opinion, because it is just. I've never seen. Well, actually, I have seen. There are very few examples of companies where there are so many lies built upon lies with literally nothing in there. They built a prototype out of literally just putting together a few pieces that look like a truck, push it over a hill, and suddenly the company is worth many billions of dollars. Literally, that is it. Anyway. AMD is up to $85. I remember when we were talking a few days back when it was down at 82, whatever it was, pushing down towards 80, and I was saying, what is happening? Do you guys remember that? Look at that, $80. We were just a few days ago, $80. I was like, yeah, here, I remember this bit. And I was like, what is happening? I made a video recently where I explained my views on why this price is just ridiculously low, especially for such a big blue chip company, somebody who is doing so well in the market. If you haven't been following, AMD signed a huge deal with Google in the last few days. I can't remember if it was Monday or maybe Tuesday. I can't remember when it was, but they signed a huge deal where they're going to be supplying their processors, and I think potentially graphics, the Radeon cards as well, to Google server farms. So Google run Google Cloud as well as industry focused versions of it. They're not called Google Cloud, but operate much the same way. And those basically run giant server farms, which you can run your websites on or any other applications, websites, apps, anything else like that. It's a bit similar to AWS, and AWS are doing the same thing. They signed a deal with them, and they signed a deal with Microsoft Azure as well. But the really important thing to remember here is I think people underestimate the size of these deals, because when they get announced, people can we'll wait and see. These server farms are enormous, and these guys are now having entire server farms built with just their hardware in it, and their graphics units, they're less powerful and they're less they're not as good at the top end as what NVIDIA provide, but they are far less power hungry because they're using much newer tech by virtue of having TSMC foundries, I can't pronounce things today. They're using smaller nanometer size processors, which mean that they're consuming less energy. And when you're running cloud kind of operations like large server farms and providing that as a service, that is a pretty important part of your overall thing. But anyway, but the important thing is these are expensive units, especially at the top end, the high processing kind of end of the spectrum, which is where a lot of these are going to be focused, because some of these are very processor hungry things. Because you got to remember, these are several $100s per unit in terms of revenue, and the gross margins on these are really high. And so when you're talking about it. Go and look in my AMD video for some of the specifics around those numbers if you want. I'm not going to go into dive into the depths of that, but it's just phenomenal when you just think. So if it's a few $100s, it depends on the processor and the specifics of the application. But let's go like conservative and call it 200. You sell just 1,000 of these units. 1,000 units is nothing for these types of applications. You just pocketed 200,000 worth of revenue. You go and sell 1 million of these units across the year. That's 200 million worth of revenue, which is a lot for a company like AMD just from signing a deal. And these are farms that have colossal volumes of this kind of stuff, and the beauty of this is you're not just selling it once and then it goes. Like you're going to be replacing them with newer units. There's like ongoing management required. There is a lot of money in this, and you go and do the same deal with Amazon like they have. You go and do the same deal with somewhere else, and the people like I think maybe there's bound to like a delayed reaction to the stuff that I was talking about 2 or 3 days ago, maybe, but I still think people are really missing the point, because I think people are valuing AMD in many ways. I've seen lots of videos, including by some of Tom Nash's friends from America who like him a lot. I'm not sure if I watched a lot of their videos because they've been trashing everybody at the moment. It's hilarious. Don't go and watch them. Oh, hello, James. Thank you very much. I've got a £5. I need to go out and buy some coffee, so that will help very much. Thank you. I've run out of coffee. It is horrific. Look, I'm drinking water because I'm out of coffee. I'm drinking it from my Gus fried chicken, world famous fried chicken. It's a small fried chicken restaurant that has a small chain. It's based in Memphis. It's very good. If you're in Memphis or passing, you should go there. Very, very tasty chicken. Anyway. So a lot of people are kind of saying that AMD is horribly overvalued, and I think people don't really understand because of two things. I think one thing that's really important is AMD is being perceived by the masses, and especially a lot of the people who kind of talk about this as either just a processor manufacturer or just like a consumer-oriented, like people who like to build computers, they sell them stuff, because all the big existing manufacturers, they use Intel, right? All the ready-made laptop producers, etc. Everyone uses Intel, or the server farms, etc. So the truth is, it's changing very, very rapidly. It's changing in a way that we haven't seen, because I think the big manufacturers are beginning to understand that the game has changed. They, I think, in the last quarterly update, said that they signed in March with a number of large laptop manufacturers, Lenovo. I can't remember who, I can't remember the names. Like all the big ones. You can go and find it out. And those haven't materialized yet, but they're going to be supplying these new processing and graphics units into those computers, which they haven't been up to now. But the big thing is the enterprise side of the business, which everyone seems to have been ignoring. And I think that this year, the enterprise side of the business might be bigger than the consumer side, which only a year ago was about 22% of the total business. And I think this year it's actually going to be bigger, and it's accelerating at a pace that is bonkers. It grew 296% year on year in the last 12 months to Q1, but I actually think that it is potentially going to grow even faster this year, which is mind-boggling kind of numbers. I didn't put that into my valuation. My valuation, I assumed a conservative. The word conservative doesn't mean anything these days. A conservative 120% growth assumption. But anyway, let's go around companies and see what's happening. Tesla is dancing at 675. 676, pretty good start. $20 up. I'm surprised. It's one of those where like I have a valuation in mind. I kind of roughly know that I was scouring the news all morning. There isn't anything massively material except for one thing. Actually, there is one thing that is material that I was finding this morning. I think this might be the reason this is all happening, and it's not something in the news. I haven't seen this like this really reported widely, but I went on Tesla.com. What is this? Fat fingers. All right. Let's go and United States. Great. Let's go for a Model Y custom order, a Model 3 custom order. I'll show you why this is important. I go for just the cheap option, which is what most people will want. And the estimated delivery is 7 to 11 weeks. So we're talking September. Long range model, 7 to 11 weeks. It's only the performance ones that you can have a bit more quickly, but most people don't buy this stuff. This is what most people buy. So the UK supply is kind of mixed because some of the UK cars actually come over from Fremont and get assembled over in Holland at a Tesla facility, and some come from China, and it varies depending on demand and supply and stuff like that. But this is the US. So the US vehicles are Fremont, right? So let's go and just check. So there are 2 factories operational. So Fremont is sold out of Model 3s for the next 2 months. This is significant because often with Tesla, you can go and make an order and it will be delivered to you. Like some of the orders will be same like in the next week, in the next 2 weeks. So this is really significant. Let's go back and have a look at the Model Y custom order. This is really interesting. Look, long range over here, delivery September. The performance one can be had quickly, but nobody wants to buy the more expensive versions. If you look around on the roads, the vast majority of being bought are the cheap ones. All right, so this one's September. So that's all for 2 months. Model X, I don't think the Model X production line in Fremont is actually up and running yet. So if I hit this, I am guessing it's going to tell me, yeah, I don't think it's actually they're actually whipping them out because they've only set up the Model S so far, the new version, you know, with the Giga Press and the new screen and all that. So I think Model X is not being produced yet, but Model S, here we go. Order a Model S, and what we're seeing September, October. Literally this morning when I was doing this exact thing before doing this video, this said September. So this is already showing. So I think that we are seeing. So look, the performance can be had in June. We are 1 week. So this is what I'm saying. When they have capacity, when they aren't sold out, you can have them within a week. We're only a week from the end of June, and if you order the plaid version and you have the money, you can have it in the next week with whatever spec that you want, you know, whatever paint you want to set, whatever wheels you want to set, no problem. You can have it in June because those are not sold out. And this is really important because if I then go and select something else, so let's go and select something that's supplied. So let's go Macau. I don't know. I haven't actually done this test. I haven't done Macau. We don't want Model S. That's because they're not ready yet. Let's go for Model 3 and Model Y because those are the 2 models that they like in that part of the world based on sale numbers. 7 to 11 weeks. So we're talking delivery in September for Model 3 from the Shanghai factory. Oh, am I still in the wrong place? Oh, come on. I thought I selected it. Sorry about that. 1 second. Let's go Macau English. Am I in the right place? Model 3. And if you look at the inventory, so I'm not going to go into the depth of that, but if you look at the inventory is almost all. So I think like in the US, all the inventory of the cheap cars, the existing ones, the ones that you can just like come and pick up, they're sold out too. And this is really interesting. Let's try Singapore. I think with some of these Asian countries that don't have, so Model 3 is very nondescript. Second half 2021. It sounds like a lot of their cars that are being produced in Shanghai are currently being shipped over to Europe because they can sell them for more money and people are spending more on them. The people are selecting more specs. What's happening with Model Ys? Because Model Y in Shanghai is I think going to be the big growth factor we're going to be seeing over the next few quarters. So let's have a look. Stay updated. Oh my god. Okay. Anyway. That was the point I was trying to make, guys. What's happening in the market? Look, the market is up 0.6%, which is pretty good, actually, for a single day movement for the S&P 500 is pretty good. But what's happening over here? So Tesla is up, like what is it? It's dropping a little bit, but we're still up $20, which is a good 3% plus whatever. What's happening with Palantir? Palantir is up a little here. That's okay, like close to a percentage point. It's dancing up and down quite, but up steady. Not really any news. Semiconductors doing very well. What is social doing? And then we'll jump to AMC and GME and see what's happening over there. One sec. Let me just go down the semiconductor list out of my favorites. ASML, like nobody talks about this, I think, other than me on YouTube. I like them. I'm invested in them. They're doing pretty good. And what do we got? Let's go social and stuff. Pinterest. Is Pinterest ever gonna bounce back to the magnificent stuff? What am I doing? What have I done? Okay, 1 hour is not good. 1 day. Okay, it's doing good. I kind of never understood the level of downtrend over here, but I'm very, very excited. I think a lot of people don't really understand what Pinterest is, because it is the most unique thing out there, which combines one of the top 5 largest search engines in the world with one of the top 10 largest social networks in the world in one place, with probably they have a user base of maybe the highest net worth people you can possibly find on the planet, which are the predominant users, which are mainly US, mainly older age group segments like 40s and 50s, and predominantly women. And because of the nature of the type of stuff that people interact with on Pinterest, which are, high cost purchases where people are getting ideas, high cost holidays, other kind of stuff. It is incredible how much money I think these guys are going to be making in the long run when you actually think about their business model and what they're doing and the stuff. They're still so early. Like, I've actually used Pinterest as a user on the sort of, like trying to build websites and trying to get traffic from it, and the analytics. It is so raw. It is like Google Analytics 15 years ago or something like that. It is incredibly raw, and yet they're doing what they're doing. Let's look at some EVs. Canoe is just sitting just under $10. That's kind of interesting. Have a look. Where's CCIV? CCIV is still at 25.5 and Tesla is 676. Okay, let's go and look at the rest of the social sphere. Where are they? I've lost them. Here's Facebook. That's an interesting one. Not very much movement in the grand scheme of things, if we're honest. We're looking just at relative numbers. And Twitter, oh yes, that's what we like to see. I'm invested in Twitter for reasons that I'm going to cover in a video at some point. I seem to have been the only one who was buying them up when there was that big sale a few weeks back. So we're very happy with that. So what's happening with AMC and GME, just for all the people who love, I'm not invested in either in any way. I'm not short, I'm not long. I just like watching from the side. I get entertained. Ooh, look, we're having a little fire sale over here this morning or afternoon, depending on when you live. Look, we're down to low 57s, and I am guessing GME. 1 second, GME is probably following the same pattern. No. Are people switching? Are we reversing? Are we now having a GME run? If anyone knows what's happening. Hello, everyone. By the way, apologies, I haven't been looking. So yeah. Let's jump back to Tesla, because I think this is really important. And so Tesla's had a lot of really negative news recently in terms of public perceptions, in terms of like what people think of Elon's tweets and all that stuff, in terms of issues with their factories. So they had Model S, Model X off production for months. It was a really long time until Model S just restarted. Model X hasn't yet, and probably won't do for another couple of months based on the stuff I was showing. But unlike some of the other manufacturers, which are less transparent with this, you can go and look at how well their sales are doing relative to their capacity to produce. And at the moment, it looks like Elon has figured a few things out with the Shanghai factory, and that seems to be manufacturing at a decent rate. It seemed like we had a problem, I think, in April where the volumes dropped and there was a bunch of legal issues and the Chinese government was finding faults and stuff like that. But Fremont is now ramping up, and Model X was never a large component of the overall production line in total. And over on Fremont, and obviously we've got Austin and Berlin to come. I'm still expecting Q1, even though Tesla is still saying Q4 this year. I am expecting that either in the update in about a month's time, on the 27th, I think it is, of July, or 28th, I can't remember, or the next quarter after that, they're gonna cede and say that they're not going to be launching either of those two in Q4. I just doubt it, because the Berlin seems to be the factory seems to be progressing reasonably well in the build, but the legal side of things slowed massively, because not only is the German bureaucracy relatively slow compared to some other countries, but they've also changed the layout of the factory. They decided they want to produce more batteries there. And the expectation is that when the 4680 batteries are ready for production, they're probably, that's not really public, they haven't disclosed that yet, but they're probably looking to begin manufacturing those over in Berlin. And that's why they went and supplied the change of status, change of layout, change of use and access roads and stuff like that. And that's delayed all the processes further by weeks and months rather than days. So the likelihood is that's going to probably delay things with that factory setup. But the two that are existing that were pumping them out at ridiculous levels in Q1, well, remember during Q1, for the vast majority of Q1, the Model S and Model X in Fremont was halted and stopped, almost down to zero. I think maybe the first few days of January they produced a few, but then they stopped right at the beginning of that. So now Model S is being produced, although only for a few days at the end of June, but longer, I think, than it was being produced. But also, I think they're only really producing at the moment mainly the plaid versions, where they're selling like to the pre-order people, the people who want the fastest car, whatever. It's very small volumes in the grand scheme of things, but very high margins. Incredible amounts of revenue from a relatively small number of sales coming through in the short space of time. But the exciting thing for me is, I actually think it is looking like, despite all the really negative news, I think a month ago on their production capacity, we might actually, I was expecting Q2 to be down. I was expecting the price to actually go and fall after they were doing the announcement, because I expected the numbers to be coming in lower, but I actually think we might see better than expected results, because Model 3, Model Y, I think are going to suffer a bit from Shanghai factory in April numbers, but overall might still be close. But we might begin seeing those Model S sales. We might see some positive news on maybe what's happening in Austin rather than Berlin with the factory production there. But anyway, so let's talk. What should we talk about? What do people want to talk about? What are people discussing? A lot of people saying hi. I apologize, I can't see all the comments because I can't spend my time reading here. So a stock split on 20th July. Yeah, I largely ignore stock splits other than cases. So with some providers, Trading212, for example, are known for doing this in the past. And if you like me, so the platform I'm using here is Trading212. If you like me use Trading212, one thing to look out for is if you hold stock like Nvidia, especially like expensive stock, and you hold fractional shares, a lot of these new platforms are not very good at converting fractional shares to whole shares. And sometimes what will happen is when there is a stock split, and this happened with Apple, this happened with when the Tesla stock split occurred. What happens with some of these platforms is instead of converting them at whatever the stock split ratio is, like 5-to-1 or 4-to-1, etc., they'll go and sell you out of your position. And then the intent is that you buy back into the new shares because they haven't built the tech and they haven't figured out how to actually do it. And unfortunately, if you don't know that this is happening, you might log in 4 months later and find out that you've been sitting on cash instead of stock of the company that you want to buy. So if you're invested, just check in all the different platforms that you use that isn't happening, because I know a lot of people had that happen to them before. So just go and double check. It's quite useful. Every single time, it's just useful to check all your accounts to make sure you don't have a big pile of cash that is accidentally sitting there. We have 0 free funds. All good. What are people saying? Yeah, let's have a look at what's happening with my stake portfolio while we're at it. This is my fun and games portfolio. It's not very much money in here. I mean, like relatively speaking, it's a lot for what I've been putting in recently, but 2.3% up on average. This is pretty good. Very green. Wow, look at this. A whole day of green. This is the kind of thing you like to see. Look, and we see, like, look at this. Etsy 0.26%, Adobe 0.36%, and Apple 0.37%, but everything else is over a percentage point. Oh, Palantir 0.8%. This is very nice. If you want a free share from Stake, if you haven't been watching the beginning of the video, go and use my link in the description below. All you have to do is open an account and create deposit 50 quid or 50 pounds equivalent in Australian dollars or any other currency that they work with. I like this platform a lot, and I'm going to be using them more. I'm not being paid to do this other than the free shares, so I actually just like the platform. I get paid more by some of the other people but I prefer these guys. So there you go. As in commissions, I don't take payment other than commissions. So, wow, look at this. Tesla's up to $680. This is good. What's happening with Bitcoin? Has anyone been following Bitcoin? Let me just go switch over here. Let's move this across 1 second. Bitcoin is sitting at that 34,000. We're not seeing very much fun. I kind of thought there'll be a bit more fun with Bitcoin after we had that minus 17%, plus 15%. You know, like I thought after this, but we're kind of being a bit boring, really, aren't we? Look, like I thought this would begin moving somewhere, but the last 2 days, not much fun. Well, I mean, other than the bounce back, but yeah. So still sitting at 34,000 for anyone who's interested in that kind of stuff. And I am guessing the other cryptos are probably following suit very much. Anyway, S&P 500 overall is up 0.6%. Yeah, very good. I can just sit here watching Tesla all day. These are the kind of days when you want to be doing it while the market is doing well. I mean, the market is doing very well, right? 0.6% in a day for the overall market is a very strong green day. You know, if we push towards the 1% mark, that's gonna be really, really good. Compared to what we've been seeing on some days, that's a lot for a day. But tech is doing much better because, like, look at what's happening over here. Tesla's up 3.6%. The reason I'm using this is just quicker to get the day movements. Fiverr 2.9%. Tom, if you're still here, I should have asked you. If Tom is still here, remember a few days back you were telling me to get rid of Fiverr because they were 34% up and I should have sold to go, you know, they were overvalued. I had to say that. I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. Tom Nash was in the chat earlier in case anyone didn't see that, anyone joined later. But it is amusing. I still have upside. I'm going to be making a video, I think, on Fiverr at some point in the next few days because I think a lot of people just I haven't seen any YouTubers talk about them. Or Etsy. I haven't seen people really talk about that, but I think that's another area that I'm going to be increasing the share of my portfolio in over the coming months. I think people are underestimating the performance there. Adobe, I love Adobe at the moment. I still think there's a lot of upside because Adobe is very similar to AMD in the way that I think the upside has not been materialized. So obviously we're seeing this kind of rise in June, but I've been having them on my portfolio. But they were having the same issue as AMD where they were trading sideways since August last year, despite the company doing absolutely incredible things, improving their product line, sales. So over this period, you know, they've gone to this subscription model. I think it was early last year, middle last year. I can't remember exactly when it was, when they kind of like really began heavily trying to promote the subscription over outright buying across the entire product range. I think it was early last year. And that's transpiring into unbelievable revenue streams. It's one of those, you know, like buying software for $300. Oh man, that is expensive. Wow. And okay, their software was a bit more expensive than that. But then this, if a software that's $300, somebody goes and sells you for $30 a month, suddenly people buy it and they think it's cheap. But in the long run, that really converts to some incredible amounts of money. Etsy's apparently one of Meet Kevin's largest holders. I don't know. I don't know that, but good to know. Good to know that we agree. I think we agree on more things than one because I hold a ridiculous amount of Tesla too. So there we go. Apparently we agree on more than just that. I'm waiting for an Apple breakout. If anyone's wondering why I hold Apple in a portfolio that's trying to beat the market, I am holding because there is a general underlying level of growth that I'm quite happy with, that I think is maybe going to outpace the market anyway. But there are several different avenues that they seem to be pursuing at the moment, which I think individually could have a breakout over the next 12 months. From the incessant rumors about their involvement with other car manufacturers doing their own, potentially maybe doing the software for some other people. There's a million different rumors around that whole space. I think their computing arm is gonna have a phenomenal 24-36 months because of the new hardware that they are now beginning to spread throughout all their units with their new chips, which are incredibly efficient, incredibly powerful, do a huge amount of good stuff. Compared to the previous version, it's just like a game changer compared to some of the other high-end manufacturers. So I'm holding because I'm not necessarily thinking the baseline is going to be doing some phenomenal, like, you know, like 50% returns or something like that. But I think that there is a good chance that on a few different avenues, they have a breakout product, which they haven't really had for several years. You know, like if you kind of take a step back, they haven't really gone and released a new market-defeating product for some time, or market-leading, or even potentially market-leading. You know, like the watch was some time ago. We haven't seen a big game changer that enters a new space or reimagines an existing space. So I'm holding out for that because I think there's a few different avenues that we could be seeing something like that in there. Anyway, let's go jump back. Look, Tesla's continuing to climb. I thought that 673, 675 was good, but we've broken 680. Are we going to be pushing higher than that today? We're only, what are we? Half an hour into the trading session. Are we going to be going towards the 690? Possibly. That'll be interesting. I just like watching this stuff from the side, even though I don't partake. But I think all EVs over the last few days have been doing quite well. Where's CCIV? Can't see it. Here we go. 2560. I really thought there was going to be more buying opportunity at the 20 price. But anyway, what's happening with Palantir? Before somebody reminds me, because I've been growing my Palantir holding, and I think I will continue doing so depending on how ridiculously fast that price grows. We're up to 2650, which is, you know, is good, but it is growing a lot on a daily basis. If you just think the scale here, we're talking like a good percentage point plus. Yeah, this is quite strong. All right, do people have any questions? What's happening in the chat? A few people asking about Bitcoin. I've shared my views on this a little bit. Hey, Sasha, live streaming is the future, says Mad Dog. I'm doing what I can. Daniel Jesus saying, did I end up buying 10,000 CCIV? I ended up buying a bit more. If I end up buying a bit less without the pension, but bought more including the pension. A bit less just because their price went up sharply during the period when I was buying, and I was buying some other stocks that were cheap, and I was hoping that we're going to be seeing a bit of yo-yo. We might still, because with CCIV, I was mentioning this before, just before we talk about Palantir and Bitcoin and other stuff. It's yo-yoing, and I did a video, I think it was 2 days ago, or I can't remember when it was. There was a press release, or 3 days ago, maybe even, where they announced a bunch of really interesting stuff, and I went live almost immediately. They filed an SEC document. Let me see if I can see. When was this? We'll find it. This is not the right thing. Go. Okay, here we go. 23rd. Ooh, what? There's been another one. What's happening over here? I haven't read this one. Oh, this is just an interview. I haven't watched this one. I should probably watch it. So it's an interview with the CEO. So they're asking him here. Look, I haven't seen this, so this is breaking for me, even though it happened last night. I'm guessing. You said that you plan to deliver 577 vehicles this year. You have 10,000 plus reservations. Are you on schedule? The CEO said, absolutely, we're bang on schedule. 1 second. Here we go. Found it. We're bang on schedule, and as soon as the quality is right, we're on schedule to release those cars. What I believe will be the best car in the world to brand new owners in the second half of this year. We're absolutely on track for that. So he completely side-skirted the question. He didn't answer the 10,000 question. And the reporter said, as I said, 10,000 plus reservations. What are the reservations looking like right now? He said, over 10,000 and growing. It's very lightning, heartening and responding. Is there any? We're accelerating 350. Yes. This is the bit we read in the previous update where they are investing in the factory quicker than they said they previously would to bring production forward, which is really good. They're also increasing, so they're not bringing it forward, but increasing it as well. So they're doing two things at the same time, both good. So hopefully that means that production will be on track for 23, 24. And with that money, we accelerate the growth of the company, secure and de-risk the risk factors, and also provide greater flexibility in terms of a mix of products. So he's hinting that, so they were saying that despite all this investment, the next vehicle they're going to be producing, which is the Gravity, which is the SUV version, will be delayed versus the original plan, but perhaps it won't be delayed too far, maybe, according to what he's saying here. We are going to incorporate an extra 2.7 million square feet into our factory by the end of 2023. I'm very bullish about the future that this secures. So that's notable, because they have a factory that already has a lot of space that they said that they're going to be expanding production lines into, etc. But they are saying here, as I understand it, they're going to be building more factory space because they're only occupying a small part of the overall plot that they have in Arizona. So it looks good, although he's still skirting the question about anything. So he's saying he's going to be delivering these 577 vehicles, none of which are going to be going to regular people. It's all going to be pre-bought vehicles to their original investors, etc. So he says they have reservations, but absolutely will not confirm anything about selling any cars. And to be fair, he wasn't really questioned, because they keep asking about these 577, but they didn't question about what his 2022 targets are, whether they're going to be hitting them. So anyway, let's go back to the markets. Let's jump around. Palantir. Ooh, look, Palantir diving back down, but not by much. All within. Although big bars, but not much is happening. We're back down 26, 23. I should probably make a bit more content now that Tom's gone on Palantir, because I have a lot of good things to say about my views on them and why I'm investing in them. And the price is still, for me, really good. I know a lot of people in the investing space, maybe some news that just broke about Palantir. I don't know. What's up with the sale? Let's have a look. I need to subscribe to some kind of like news aggregation services or something like that, because I don't really have a good way of doing this other than literally just I look up the results of companies, I look up the CC filings, I look up all this kind of stuff. I'm not seeing really anything. Nah, I don't know. Random. All right, let's jump back into the stocks and see what's happening. What's happening with the S&P 500 overall? Still 0.6%. So we kind of like had that first morning rise, and we're sticking with it really. While tech is up a lot. If you're a tech investor, this is a good day. Look, even Apple's partaking. And Apple is often like, what's happening with Google? Even Google has decided, okay, well, not much, right? $10 on this sort of scale is literally nothing, but it's all good. I hold Google, I think, in some of my portfolios, probably in this one as well. Do I? Alphabet, yeah, we hold a little bit in this portfolio. So they're doing good, Who else? Who else should we look at? What's happening with these popular stocks that everyone's talking about at the moment? Lemonade jumping up. What else? Coinbase, for some reason, people are very excited by. I really am not. As a stock, I have no position in Coinbase whatsoever. But sort of staying flat versus where they were just before close yesterday. And what else people are excited by? Tilray, people get very excited by. They're doing okay. It's a good little rise of, what is it, 2% up or something. Square, I do have a big position in, and oh wow, now that's not bad at all. What is that, 3%, something like that? That's very good. I'm happy with that for Square today. Pretty much everything that is tech based is doing well. Beyond Meat is something people like a lot. I don't have a position because my valuation is not as. What have I just done? Is not as positive as some other people's. But yeah, people like this one a lot, right? People saying this is the future. Slack, hold a small position and doing okay. What AMD? What's happening with AMD? People are writing AMD on the chat, but also in a couple of other places. $86. Wow, we're really climbing. All right, let's just quickly check what's happening in Tesla. We 680. I'll take that. That looks really good. I'm gonna go and continue doing a bit of research. There's a couple of really big videos that I want to make in the next week or two that require a lot more planning than some of my usual stuff. So I'm going to go and do a little bit of that. Ooh, don't go down, Tesla. Thank you very much for joining, everyone. I really appreciate it, and hopefully I'm going to be talking to all of you very soon. See you guys later.